Over 1 million working Americans are sleeping in their cars every night in 2026. They're the teachers, nurses, and engineers you work with, and a $25 Planet Fitness membership is the only thing hiding it.
My name is Alexis, and I live in this minivan. Today, I'm finally going to give you a tour of the inside. This is Midnight Rain. She's a 2008 Toyota Sienna, and this is my home. This is a camping cot with an 8-inch memory foam mattress on top of it. This is a toy box I got on Amazon, and it houses all of my clothes. And Toby usually sleeps up here. I have his water bowl here so he can reach it. This curtain was also an Amazon find. It was $30, and it fits so perfectly in here. In this corner over here, I have this, which is where I normally sit my tablet so that I can watch TV. And then I have some journals and books in this corner.
That's a home, and the 2008 Sienna she's living in isn't a coincidence. Used minivans built between 2005 and 2012 are the single most searched vehicle on the Urban Car Living subreddit right now because they're old enough to be cheap outright, big enough to sleep comfortably in, and boring enough that no cop looks twice. The going rate is around $4,000 to $7,000 cash. Compared to $1,600 a month rent, the van pays for itself in about 4 months. That's the calculation running behind the scenes for a lot of people you'd never suspect. Federal counts recorded the biggest jump in homelessness on record, and once you include people quietly living in vehicles, advocacy groups estimate the number of working homeless Americans is closer to 1.2 million. The bigger question is, why isn't a full-time job enough to rent an apartment anymore?
I've been living in my car with my 2 cats for several months, and I'm trying to figure out how to get out of that situation, but I don't really know what I can do. If the average price of an apartment is around $1,600 and you need to make 3 times the rent in order to be approved for an apartment, you have to make $4,800 a month, or at least $30 an hour. That's not happening right now. I've been working a seasonal job that definitely doesn't pay $30 an hour with the hopes that I could save up enough money and then move to a city I'd like to live in and find a landlord that might take pity on my soul and sign me to a lease even if I don't make the exact amount of income.
The 3 times rent rule used to be an old landlord guideline that got applied when someone felt off. Now it's automated in property management software and enforced by algorithm on every listing in every major metro. When median rents doubled between 2015 and 2024, that rule turned into a wall. On a $1,600 apartment, you need $4,800 a month in verified pre-tax income. On a $2,500 apartment in LA, you need $7,500. The median full-time wage in America is $59,000 a year, which lands at about $4,900 a month. So the median full-time worker in the median metro qualifies for almost nothing currently listed within a reasonable commute of their job. The workaround used to be a cosigner, someone in your family with strong credit and enough income to legally cover your lease if you defaulted. That person increasingly doesn't exist because their parents are working the same broken math on their own retirement and can't afford to be on the hook. But the car she's living in isn't a safety net either. It's the second bill she can't miss.
My car's in repo, and I live in it, so I don't have any other. I don't have any other choice. I can't just give it back. This is where I live. Okay, at least not until I figure something else out. I get a call from Toyota this morning. I get a call from Toyota this morning letting me know that my car is about to go into what's called charge-off status. If you don't know what charge-off status means, that basically means that they're considering it an unpayable debt. You either give the car back or you pay off the full car, which for this would be $31,000. Obviously, I don't have either of those options. So she says, not only do I believe you, but I want you to know that I'm hearing stories like yours every single day. And the reason that we don't have any way to help you is because we have never seen this many people in this position in the entire time that I've been doing this.
Auto debt in America hit $1.68 trillion by the end of 2025, a 37% climb in 7 years. Average car payments moved from $506 a month to $680. New car payments crossed $770 this year. Subprime borrowers, meaning most working class buyers, are locked into rates north of 11% on used cars they never wanted to finance but had no other way to buy. When the missed payments hit 2 in a row, the repo companies dispatch. Over 2.2 million vehicles were repossessed last year alone, and 2026 is on pace for 3 million. For a driver with a spare bedroom at home, a repo is a bad month. For the driver whose car is the address, the tow truck ends the last thing standing between her and the sidewalk. Which is exactly why the whole game becomes not being seen. Not by cops, not by security, and not by the coworker who parks in the same lot at 8 a.m.
I've lived in my car for about 9 months now, and here are 3 things that I think are non-negotiables if you're planning on moving into your car. First one is tinted windows. I don't think it's a good idea to move into your car unless you have tinted windows. And I do understand that tinted windows can be very expensive, but I beg you to please find a way to pay for them because it's just not safe without them. Number 2 is a gym membership. This is where you will shower. This is where you will brush your teeth sometimes, where you will work out for the day. This will make all the difference in your happiness. Please get a gym membership. Preferably a gym that's open 24 hours, 7 days a week. When I'm traveling, I go for a Planet Fitness membership. Not all of them are open 24/7, but some of them are, and a Planet Fitness membership is only $25 a month. And number 3 is window covers. Please get window covers. This is also another safety thing. You don't want anyone to be able to see in your car. You don't want anyone to know that you live in your car.
The routine she's describing sounds simple until you're the one running it. Walmart lots that used to be open all night have been quietly tightening their overnight policies since 2023, so the free spots most vehicle dwellers relied on for a decade are shrinking every quarter. Truck stops fill up by 9 p.m. Rest areas have time limits enforced by state troopers, which means most of these workers are rotating between 3 or 4 viable parking spots on a weekly cycle, driving farther and farther from their jobs to find a lot that hasn't posted a tow sign yet. And the real cost isn't the gas, it's the sleep. When your bedroom moves every few nights and a security guard could knock on your window at any hour, you don't actually sleep. You doze between checks. Then you show up to a 9 a.m. meeting and pretend you spent last night in a bed like everyone else in the room. And the reason nobody believes this is happening on the scale it is because they've probably met one of these workers and had no idea.
A stranger just came over to me to check that I was okay in the car park, and now I can't stop crying because it's like, you just forget that you're actually human, you know? And someone treats you like you're human. But he just kept saying, I know I'm just a stranger, but you'll pull through, like, you're gonna be okay.
The demographic profile of vehicle dwellers in 2026 has almost nothing in common with the 1990s image of homelessness. A survey out of Santa Barbara found 55% of respondents were currently employed. On a single industrial road in Silicon Valley, journalists found teachers, tech workers, healthcare staff, and accountants all living in their cars. In Atlanta, reporters found families with 2 working parents living out of extended stay motels and vehicles because the housing math wouldn't close and no shelter would take them together as a unit. The face of vehicle homelessness in 2026 belongs largely to people who were the middle class 10 years ago and did nothing to lose the label except stay in the same job at the same wage while everything around them repriced. And that's the wound behind all of it. The plan they were sold stopped producing what it said it would.
We were sold a lie. I feel like the majority of us who are under the age of 40 were sold a lie on what life should look like, and it's insane. We were all sold on this American dream, the lie of what adult life looks like, of home ownership and having a stable job and being able to have a family and yada, yada, yada. And none of that looks the way it should based on what we were sold when we were younger. How amazing is it that we are fully functioning adults who have grown up in an era of being sold a lie on what life should look like, but literally all roads lead to none of that? Unless you got lucky and were able to be one of the last ones with the foot in the door for what a life looks like.
The post-war American deal was simple. Trade 40 hours a week for a middle-class life. A house you owned, kids you could feed, a used car in the driveway. That deal ran on 3 cheap inputs: cheap land, cheap credit, and wages that moved with productivity. All 3 broke between 1980 and now. Home prices rose 500%, while median wages rose about 14% adjusted for inflation. Higher education went from 2% of household spending in 1970 to more than 25% for families paying full tuition today. Healthcare costs tripled, and auto insurance has jumped 35% in just the last 3 years. Every fixed cost climbed while the paycheck stood still, and the workers who followed the exact steps their parents followed ended up with almost none of the outcomes their parents got. You could still argue this is a low-income story, that the people in cars are the people who never landed a real career, except the math has climbed several rungs up the income ladder.
How is everyone affording life? Real question. How are you guys doing it? Because my daycare costs the same as our mortgage, which is just wild to me. And I had a crash out earlier today just about how really expensive everything really truly is. And I just don't know how you guys are doing it. So I have a corporate 6-figure job. I should be able to afford life. We're not doing anything wrong, just life is expensive. and I'm the breadwinner in my household.
A household income of $150,000 in 2015 bought a nice house in most American metros with room to save. In 2026, the same income barely covers a mortgage on a starter home, daycare for 2 kids, 1 car payment, groceries, and almost nothing else. Daycare in most cities crossed $20,000 a year per child. Family health insurance premiums broke $25,000 in 2025. Mortgage rates near 7% turn a $500,000 house into close to a $1 million lifetime cost once interest compounds. The couple pulling 6 figures each isn't drowning because they're irresponsible. Normally, when fewer people can afford something, sellers lower the price to attract more buyers. That's not what's happening in housing. Instead of lowering rents, landlords are finding new ways to charge even more.
Hey, so everyone has lost their mind. Apartment hunting, housing market, renting, whatever it is, you've absolutely lost your mind. So as I sit here apartment hunting here in Los Angeles, would you believe that I came across this place, $2,500 a month, okay, 1 bedroom, no utilities included, you have to pay for your parking, bare bones, 3 times the rent, $650 minimum credit, okay? I scroll down to the bottom and I see that in order for you to access your unit that you are paying $2,500 for, okay, you must subscribe to a monthly membership to use your key fob. If you don't, you will not be able to access your unit that you pay $2,500 for. What are we doing? This is quite literally something that the average American will not just work their way out of. They will not skip a latte out of.
A $2,500 apartment in that building actually generates closer to $2,900 a month once you add the mandatory parking fee, the trash valet, the required tech package, and the key fob subscription she just described. That's before utilities. Some buildings charge a monthly amenity fee. Whether you use the amenities or not, some charge separately for package delivery. A few in Los Angeles are testing a live-in premium that kicks in if the tenant sleeps in the unit more than a certain number of nights per week. Rent isn't the price of housing anymore. Rent is the entry point, and everything above it is the actual bill, which is exactly how a country ends up with a median wage that can no longer clear the median apartment even before groceries. So the question becomes what an actual night looks like when the apartment is off the table and the parking lot is the fallback.
Hey, I'm homeless. I live in my car, and I'm gonna show you how I get ready for bed when it's cold outside. I think it's supposed to dip down into like the teens tonight, like 19 degrees or something like that. So first order of business is to warm this car up before I get all snug as a bug in my bed. So right now I have the car running with the heater going, and I'll do that for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I put my privacy curtains up on my front windows. And I always put my pillow up here in the front with me while I'm heating up my car so it gets nice and warm, because I hate sleeping on an ice cold pillow. Now I lock my car so nobody can get me. And even though it's gonna be frigid, I'm going to be super cozy and comfortable. It's a process, but it's worth it.
The forecast that night was 19 degrees. She wasn't parked in Alaska. She was parked in a mid-sized American city with a job to get to in the morning. Idling a car for warmth burns about 1/3 of a gallon of gas an hour, which turns one cold night into another $10 she didn't budget for. Multiply that by a winter, and heat alone costs a few hundred she doesn't have. This is where the story goes in 2027, not toward a fix, toward more workers quietly restructuring their whole lives around a car they can't afford to keep and can't afford to lose. And the country keeps pretending it doesn't see them, because the alternative is admitting the deal at the center of American middle-class life broke somewhere between 2008 and now, and nobody in charge has a plan to fix it.